without further ado, it is time to actually start Gemara. This Gemara is going to go in the Mishnah of Hamafkit that we started learning. It is important that you understand the Mishnah well before going, because we're going to question our assumptions about that Mishnah. We're going to work with certain words, and we're going to realize that sometimes the words we say are not the words that we mean. And in fact, when we tell over a story or give an option, sometimes there's really alternatives to that are implied in that language. We're going to focus on some of that right now. In order to do that, we're going to need a few words. We need the word mamash, or mamash, which means actually. Ella, rather. Kevan, since. Hareini Lishalem is a phrase that means I want to pay, or I'm prepared to pay. And af al pi means even though. We're going to need these shortly. Let's take them down. Now, this Mishnah discusses the case of the shomer chinam, who is shilem v'ratzah l'shava. They pay, but they don't want to make a shavua. That's what we thought. However, one of the Amayim is going to question exactly what happened in that story. What does shilem actually mean? We're going to take a look at a memra. A memra is a teaching of a Gemara of Rabbi Yochanan, and we're going to see what he says actually happened, and then we're going to review it and answer the questions later as well. So we have our quote from the Mishnah, Shilem v'ratzah l'shava. That's the quote, which at first glance, this means they paid. V'lo ratzah l'shava, they didn't want to make a shavua. Okay? Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Rabbi Chia bar Abba is one Amora, is a later Amora, quoting Amar Rabbi Yochanan, an earlier Amora. Lo shilem, shilem mamash. Right? That seems a very short sentence, a very important sentence. What do you think that means? Lo shilem, shilem mamash. Lo shilem, shilem meaning pay, is not shilem mamash. It's not actually paying. Ella, rather, kevan sha'amar, since they said, hareini mishalem, they have that phrase, I want to pay, af al pi shelo shilem, even though they didn't actually pay. Lo shilem, shilem mamash, it's not literally paying. Ella, kevan sha'amar hareini mishalem, since they said, I want to pay, af al pi shelo shilem, even though they don't pay, meaning they get all those benefits. They get to keep the kefil. They even get to keep the item. Like all those things that turn the shomer chinam into that owner, to get all those things we talked about in the Mishnah, all those benefits, it doesn't require them to literally pay. We said once they pay, they become the owner. Yochanan says, no. They don't actually have to pay. Once they take responsibility and show they're willing to pay, it's theirs. You find that item, there's nothing to pay for. The item's there. The item can go back to the owner. The kefel, that penalty, that extra money, goes to the shomer. The original item pays for itself. It exists. We don't have to replace it anymore. Once the shomer says they're willing to pay for that, they're taken care of. They've put that responsibility there. They've shown themselves to be responsible and prepared. That's taken care of. Once we find that thief and there's kefel involved, that still goes to the shomer, because they put that level of responsibility there. They don't actually have to pay to do it. They have to show they're willing to pay to do it. That is a surprising understanding. In fact, not everyone agrees. While looking at it, though, first class levels is who's being quoted in this memra? Who's the original Amora being quoted? And then who's quoting this memra? Right? Rabbi Yochanan is the original memra, the original Amora being quoted, and Rabbi Chia bar Abba is the one quoting him. Now, the Gemara says the word shilem does not mean shilem mamash. It actually means hareini mishalem, that they want to pay, not that they actually have to pay. Very interesting how the word shilem doesn't literally mean pay. It just means willing to. That's what Rabbi Yochanan suggested. Now, does it seem like that's the intention of the Mishnah? Why? Why not? Now, in this case, according to Rabbi Yochanan, a shomer who was Ratzah Lishalem, but did not yet pay, who gets the kefil? It is the shomer. Now, not everyone is happy with this interpretation. There's going to be a challenge to Rabbi Yochanan. The words you're going to use for that is Tanan. That is a very big $1 million Gemara word. It means it was taught in a Mishnah, quoting a direct Mishnah, not just a Braita. Again, a Mishnah is slightly higher authority than a Braita, even though they're both Tanayim. In is the most confusing word in Aramaic, which means yes. Ein means no in Hebrew. In means yes in Aramaic. Hands down the most confusing thing ever. And lo means no. In this case, it means does not get the money. It's an implied message given the context. Make sure you have these down so you can go to the challenge to Rabbi Yochanan, because the Gemara will often have two people challenging each other as to what the real interpretation is. In this case, it's going to respond to the name of Rabbi Yochanan, carefully reading the words of the Mishnah. It's going to say that doesn't seem like it means that in the Mishnah, right? It says Shilam. That means Shilam. It means pay. So when is the Shomer going to get to keep the kefil? When they pay. So we're going to see if Rabbi Yochanan fits this Mishnah. Tanan. It was taught in the Mishnah, right? Shilam v'lo ratzah l'shava. That's our case. It says Shilam. Shilam meaning pay. In, yes. Meaning yes, they get to keep the kefil. Lo shilam, if they don't pay, lo, they don't get to keep the kefil. The words of the Mishnah say shilam. It doesn't say ratzah l'shalem. It says lo ratzah l'shava, but it doesn't say ratzah l'shalem. Right? So shilam, lo ratzah l'shava, if they pay. Shilam in, if they do pay. Lo shilam, lo. If they pay, yes, they get the money. Lo shilam, lo, they don't get the money. This interpretation is much more literal. And what does the Mishnah say? The Shomer Zacha, they get to keep the kefil when they pay. What two words of the Gemara is used to say when they pay, they do get it? Shilem, in. What three words of the Gemara used to say when they do not pay, they do not get it? Lo shilem, lo. That's what the Mishnah says. The Gemara responds to Rabbi Yochanan, how can you change the interpretation? Just follow what the words say. So if you had this chart here, which we're going to see later, if you're Shilem, if you actually pay, who would say you get to keep the money? The Rabbi Yochanan or Stam Gemara? Well, they would both say you get to keep the money. We're going to see this chart later. Lo Shilem of Ratzah Lishalem, if you don't actually pay, but you say you want to pay, Rabbi Yochanan would still say the Shomer gets the kefil. The Stam Gemara would say, no, you don't get it in that case. And if they didn't want to pay at all, Lo Ratzah Lishalem, well, no one would say they get the kefil because they haven't taken that responsibility necessary to get the money. However, Rabbi Yochanan is not done. He's going to read it again, and it says Ema Seifa. The later part of the Mishnah is going to say something else that'll actually try to support Rabbi Yochanan's point. Taima means the reason. In this case, the reason he gets it. Maha Leichel Mishma Mina is going to be a phrase that means from here we cannot determine it. Ha means but. We're going to take a look at that. Take these down, which are going to be important for you later. Make sure you have these down. We're going to say that Rabbi Yochanan is not done. The Ema Seifa. The Gemara says that later on in the Mishnah it says Nishba v'lo ratzah l'shalem. He makes a shavua, she makes a shavua, v'lo ratzah l'shalem. They don't want to pay. Right? They're allowed to do that. But wait a second. Taima the lo ratzah. The reason, in this case, they don't get the kefil is because they lo ratzah l'shalem. They don't want to pay. Those are the words we were looking for earlier. Ratzah l'shalem. If the person, the shomer, is nishba in a case of lo ratzah l'shalem, ratzah l'shalem is the opposite of what? It's the opposite of ratzah l'shalem, right? Lo ratzah l'shalem and ratzah l'shalem are opposites. If the person is nishba, they make a shavua when they lo ratzah l'shalem, the opposite of nishba in our Mishnah is shilem. Well, shilem, whatever that means, is the opposite of ratzah l'shalem. That sounds like if they are ratzah l'shalem, they would get the kefil. Mar says this, but ratzah, if they do want to shalem, afal pi shelo shilem, even though they didn't literally make a shavua. The Gemara concludes, Ela maha leichal l'mishna hamina. We can't use just careful reading to understand the conclusion for this case. We're going to have to figure out a different way. Because this Mishnah can be read in both ways. It can be read to say that Shilem in Lo Shilem Lo, or it can be read to say Ratzah L'Shalem means I'm going to pay, They want to pay would also get the kefil. It can be read in both ways. It's impossible to determine what it actually means from these words. To review, what is the reason the Gemara says the shomer is not zacha to the kefil in the case of lo ratzah nishba v'lo ratzah Lishalem? Because the shomer does not ratzah Lishalem. They don't want to pay. The opposite of that. What we need to change to entitle the shomer to keep the kefil is Ratzah Lishalem. Not necessarily Shilem Mamish, but Ratzah Lishalem. They want to pay. So after 2 attempts to prove the point of our topic, what does the Gemara say? We can't conclude from here. So is there a conclusion to this Gemara yet? Well, can the shomer chinam keep the kefil? Now there's one situation where you know they can keep the kefil. What is that going to be? What's the situation you do know they can when they actually pay? But the question is, what if they don't want to pay? But they know they don't pay. They want to pay. That's the question we have left. Having been unable to prove it from the Mishnah itself, the Gemara is now going to quote another source about whether or not the shomer can or can't keep the kefil, and that's going to be from a Ratzah. These notes are going to help you with that. Now this is getting into more Aramaic. It's a little bit more difficult. Tanya kavate means it's a Ratzah like this. A socher para is a case of renting a cow. For whatever reason you want to rent a cow. Kind of like the cat. The nignava, it's stolen. We saw that word before. It's hareini mishalem, I will pay. He says, I will pay. It's a phrase. The eini, I will not. The achachach means afterwards. Nimsa haganav means they find the thief. He's down. We're going to need them. The Gemara quotes this Baraita. Tanya kavate the Rabbi Yochanan. There's a Baraita like Rabbi Yochanan. What is it? Hasocher para mechavero. Someone rents a cow from their friend. Right? Different type of shomer, but so far so good. V'nignava, and it's stolen. V'amar hashomer, the shomer says, hareini mishalem v'eini nishba. I want to pay, and I don't want to make a shavua. Okay, great. V'achach nimtza haganav, then they find the thief. Mishalem tashlume kefel l'socher. They pay the tashlume kefel to who? To the socher, not the original owner. In this case, he just said, hareini mishalem. I'm prepared to pay. And who gets the kefel? The shomer, the socher in this case, the renter. That sounds a lot like the case of Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. Again, what does Tanya Kavate mean? What's going to introduce? A Baraita like the Gemara being quoted here. Right? Explain this kind of case. What kind of shomer is watching this cow? It is a socher. What happens to the cow? Nigdava, it is stolen. What does the shomer say they want to do? Hareini, mishalem, they want to pay. The case of C, right? When they say that, who gets the kefel? The shomer gets the kefel. So, does this sound like a proof to Rabbi Yochanan or Stam Gemara? Sounds like Rabbi Yochanan. Now Rashi points out one point that you might have thought about that, and explains why it's not a contradiction. It seems to be a problem with the regular rules of Shomrim, where who gets to make a shavua for a case of Geneva? It is a shomer chinam. A socher and a shomer sachar both have to pay for those cases. That is the halach according to Mishnah. Explains it's not a contradiction. Here's Rashi. Nikom makom means anyways or nevertheless. L'shaker, to lie. L'shava is to swear. Shenanasa means onus happened, completely out of their control. We saw that previously. We haven't seen it yet. Niftar means be pater, and shavua with a shavua. Take those down. Again, we're going to need them. So asocher par v'nigrava. Rashi says, Ava pisha asocher chayev b'ganeva ve'aveda. They're chayev to pay for these type of cases. Mikol makom, nevertheless, they could say im ratzah l'shaker if they want to lie. V'l'shava shenanasa ne'anasa rather hayab nifta b'shavua. If they want to lie and then make a shavua that in fact had some sense of onus, that it was totally beyond their control, maybe pretend that it was a shavuya or the like, hayaniftar b'shavua, they would have been pater b'shavua. Yes, that's not true and it's a lie, but in theory you could have a situation where they say that I really want to make the shavua. Actually, I don't want to make the shavua, I want to pay, making it sound like they could have made the shavua, even though it wasn't necessarily true. So what's that contradiction? Rashi points out that you really should give the chance to make a shavua. But there's some cases where a shomer safar or sofer can make a shavua. It's not actually a contradiction. So how does this help us? It says that there's some case you could do it. He's saying he wants to pay here. Osh